So if you're Googling the BRRRR method or the BRRRR strategy, or you're looking it up on YouTube, a lot of what you'll see is the negative things that can come along with it. And you'll see a lot of clickbait material and clickbait thumbnails saying it doesn't work or why not to do the BRRRR method. I'm here telling you that I own $16 million worth of real estate without spending a dime of my own money with the BRRRR method, with the BRRRR strategy. It works. Obviously, things can go wrong, and you can do things that will cause you to lose money. So in this video, I want to show you the things that can go wrong and how you can overcome them. I'm going to go step by step over the BRRRR's process in a simple way, and then I'm going to take each step and break it down and show you what can go wrong at that step and how you can avoid doing that so you can do the method faster, quicker, and make a lot more money. I literally have $16 million worth of real estate that I've acquired over the past few years without using a dime of my own money using the BRRRR method. I want to show you exactly what it can and will look like. Then after you get a clear picture of that, I'm going to go over some of the issues that you'll come across and how to overcome them. All right, before I show you the perfect BRRRR, please hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. It would help get this video out in front of more people and help hopefully influence more people to understand the BRRRR method properly. All right, here's a perfect BRRRR example with simple numbers so you can understand what the process is, so you understand what I'm going to be talking about when I talk about the mistakes that you will run into. The BRRRR method stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and scale. Most people probably known it as the buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. I went ahead and took that repeat off there and added scale. It's more tangible and it helps you grow faster. You buy a property at a discount using somebody else's money. You're buying it at a discount because it is in distress and in need of repair. So for this example, you're buying the house for $100,000, but you don't have to use your own money. Use a hard money lender or a private money lender for the purchase. The next step is to rehab the property. You bought the property at a discount because it needed work, so obviously you need to get it repaired so it can get rent ready. In this example, let's say you put $50,000 into the house. So to recap the last two steps, you bought the house for $100,000 using a private lender or hard money lender's money. Then you put $50,000 of that same hard money lender or private money lender's money in the deal. So you have $150,000 of somebody else's money in a house, but it is fixed up and ready to rent. The next step is you get the property rented. Get this property rented for, let's say, $2,000 a month. This is the most important step. The fourth step is the refinance step. You take your rented, fixed up property to a small local bank, and they will send out a third-party appraiser. They're going to appraise the property because they need to find the market value, because they're going to give you a loan for 80% of that market value. For this example, this property appraised for $200,000, so the bank wrote you a check for 80% of that, which is $160,000. You take that $160,000 check that the bank wrote you, and you pay off your initial hard money lender or private money lender plus interest. So they got their $150,000 back plus interest. If there's anything left over, you can keep it as tax-free money. Now, you do owe the bank that $160,000 that they gave you, but you owe them that in the form of a mortgage over the next 20 to 30 years, so it's probably a small $800 to $900 a month payment. The $2,000 a month rent you're getting for the property covers that mortgage plus all owning expenses. So now you own a rental property, you didn't use any of your own money, and you owe the bank a mortgage plus owning expenses that the renter pays, and then you can grow it over time and scale and really turn this into a business and grow as much wealth as you want. All right, so that's the perfect BRRRR's deal. Now let's talk about what can go wrong at each step. Before I do, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Trying to give you guys as much free information as I can. So please hit that subscribe button so you get notified when new videos come out and when I go live. So at that initial buy step, the mistake and the issue that most people run into, if they run into that issue, is they get too excited. They're super pumped up to get their first, second, or third property, and they're not being realistic or conservative in their numbers. You don't know what the property is going to be worth for sure, so you need to be conservative. If that example I showed you earlier, if I saw 3 comparable houses that had sold for $200,000, but one house sold for $220,000, I need to be realistic and run my numbers at $200,000 for what the house is going to be worth. Do not take that one outlier and run your entire purchase formula off of that outlier. You need to be conservative and realistic and try not to get too excited and get too into it, because it is an exciting thing, but you need to just understand the numbers and go by the numbers. Don't try and be smarter than the numbers. 2 + 2 = 4. It doesn't equal 5. The next step is the rehab process. There's a few different issues that some people can run into. The first one is people don't know where to stop their rehab. What I mean by that is they either under rehab, they don't make the house nice enough, or they make it too nice. A quick way to see how nice to make your rehab and how far to take it is look at the competition. Simply go on Zillow and look for houses that have sold recently in that neighborhood or houses that are for rent and make your finishes very similar to those. If there's granite countertops and decent cabinets, that's what you should do in your kitchen. Don't do marble countertops and this crazy backsplash and $20,000 worth of appliances. On the contrary, if the kitchens are pretty nice, don't leave a 1960s kitchen when all the other kitchens in the competition for the rent and for sales are 2000s kitchens. You need to just simply make your house as nice or slightly nicer than the competition. That should give you a good barometer of how far to take your rehab. Also, be conservative on your rehab budget. If you think the rehab's gonna cost $30,000, guess what? Put $35,000 or $40,000 in your budget. We rehab 75 houses a year, and most of them come in over budget. So if you're new, you're probably not gonna account for everything, so make sure to add fluff. Now, you may not buy as many houses, but the houses you do buy, if you're conservative and you add that fluff, you'll be safe on your rehab. Rent. This is probably the most important step, because the most expensive thing you have owning a rental property after you rehab it is when tenants turn over, which is when tenants leave, because there's no way they're going to leave the property as in a good shape as when they moved in, as well as there's wear and tear that happens on property. So when a tenant leaves, you're not collecting rent and you're spending money on the property. So the best way to avoid that is to get good tenants in place. Most people think figuring out rent or getting tenants, that's the hardest part. That is not. Just go on Zillow, look at the recent rents. That will show you what the house will rent for. And also, there's way, way, way more good tenants out there than good landlords or good houses. I was just on a live earlier today and people were asking about getting tenants. Getting good tenants is not an issue. The potential issue is you not properly screening your tenants. If you don't look at backgrounds, if you don't look at credit reports, if you don't call the old landlord, if you don't do your due diligence, getting a renter in place before they move in, you are totally potentially screwing yourself in the future, because if you don't do your due diligence up front, there is a higher likelihood that that tenant will move out sooner rather than later, hence it will cost you more money. So if you do that extra work up front, run all the proper backgrounds, talk to all the right people, and make sure that there's a high likelihood that you and that tenant are going to have a great relationship, because you need to respect your tenants and treat your tenants fair. If you do all that groundwork up front and set the proper expectations, you will avoid a ton of future headaches and a ton of future mistakes. On to the refinance step. Now, the main mistake people make on this step is they don't get pre-approved from that small local bank or that credit union. If you are into the process and you are rehabbing the house or getting the house rented and you haven't talked to a small local bank yet, you need to talk to them ASAP, because the best thing to do is to talk to these banks before you even get your first property under contract. Talk to these banks. They'll give you a pre-approval or guidance limit. You'll give them your information. They'll look up your credit score. They'll look up your income. And after looking at all that, they'll say, we will give you a certain amount of money in mortgages. So you're getting pre-approved. So you know, once you buy the house, you get it fixed up, you get it rented, they will be there on the back end to take out that long-term financing with you. You don't have to show them the exact deal because you haven't bought it yet, but just give them an example deal of what you're looking to buy and make sure that they're willing to do a cash out refinance. Just get that all set up ahead of time. If you are into the process and you haven't got that set up, talk to them now. And if for some reason you can't get approved at the bank, the great thing about this process is if you bought it right and rehabbed it right, you can just sell it. But the goal of this method is not to flip houses. It's to hold long-term rentals without using any of your own money. So get pre-approved, talk to the bank now. Last but not least is scale. Scaling is taking things to a bigger, better, higher level. And if your goal is to create financial freedom soon or quit your job, this is where that comes into play. You scale and you get things done properly and efficiently every single time, and you get better each time you buy a rental property. Now, how can you screw that up? Well, that's people doing it too early. I had 25 rental properties, had done 10 flips, and was taking part ownership of a company that had been around for 20 years when I quit my job. So I scaled and went full time at the right time. I'm not one of those people that's going to tell you to jump headfirst into a pool, not know if there's water in there or not. Some people are crazy like that, and that's fine. Having a core base of properties as well as deals in the pipeline is the best time to make that leap full time if that's your goal. If your goal is not to scale and it's not to buy, 100 properties or 50 properties, then this step doesn't really apply to you. The biggest mistake I see people in this step is doing it too early. Make sure all your ducks are in a row and you have a stable base of income as well as properties in the pipeline before you make the jump. If you think you're going to do the perfect BRRRR deal your first time, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. You're setting yourself up for failure. The people that made those videos that I showed at the very beginning of this video, the BRRRR is not a good investment. You're going to make mistakes. Why not to do the BRRRR? Those are the people that quit. If you're willing to keep going and persevere, you will be successful. You're not going to be perfect. Failure is all a part of it, and failure is a great way to learn. If you're trying to go undefeated and never make a mistake, you're probably not going to accomplish anything. But if you're willing to make mistakes, but make more good decisions than mistakes, you'll be successful. I'll help you make less mistakes by creating content on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram that shows you the successes and also shows you the failures. So do your part and take action. I'm here to help.